The idea that the Apollo moon landings were faked is one of the most enduring conspiracy theories of the modern era. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, some continue to believe that the United States government staged the moon landings. This article critically examines these claims and debunks the myths that fuel this conspiracy. Origins of the conspiracy. The conspiracy theory that the moon landings were faked began to gain traction in the 1970s, shortly after the last Apollo mission. Bill Kaysing's 1976 book, We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle, is often cited as a foundational text for moon landing deniers. Kaysing, a former technical writer for Rocketdyne, a company involved in the Apollo program, had no direct experience with spaceflight, yet his assertions captured the imagination of skeptics. Common false claims. The waving flag. Conspiracists argue that the American flag placed on the moon's surface appears to wave, which they claim is impossible without an atmosphere. In reality, the flag appears to move due to the momentum imparted by the astronauts during its placement and the lack of air resistance on the moon. No stars in photos. Another claim is that stars are not visible in the photographs taken on the moon, suggesting the images were faked. The truth is that the camera settings used to capture the brightly lit lunar surface would not capture the relatively dim light from stars. Misaligned shadows. Skeptics point to shadows in lunar photos that appear to be non-parallel, suggesting artificial lighting. This is a misunderstanding of perspective. Shadows converge on uneven surfaces and from multiple light sources such as the sun and reflected light from the lunar surface. Debunking with evidence. Physical evidence. Over 800 pounds of lunar rock samples have been brought back from the moon. These samples have been studied worldwide and contain isotopic signatures distinct from Earth rocks, confirming their extraterrestrial origin. Tracking and telemetry data. The Soviet Union, a Cold War adversary of the United States, tracked the Apollo missions independently and acknowledged their success. It is implausible that the US could have deceived its most formidable competitor at the time. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO. NASA's LRO has provided high-resolution images of the Apollo landing sites, showing remnants of the missions, including the lunar module descent stages, rover tracks, and footpaths left by astronauts. Psychological and sociological factors. Conspiracy theories often arise from a combination of skepticism towards authority and a desire for simpler explanations to complex events. They are bolstered by cognitive biases such as confirmation bias, where individuals favor information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, and the Dunning-Kruger effect, where individuals with limited knowledge overestimate their understanding. Conclusion. The moon landing conspiracy theories are rooted in a misunderstanding of science and evidence. They persist due to psychological factors and a mistrust of official narratives. However, the overwhelming physical, photographic, and testimonial evidence from numerous independent sources unequivocally confirms that humanity did indeed set foot on the moon. Dismissing these achievements not only undermines scientific progress, but also disrespects the legacy of the thousands of individuals who contributed to one of humanity's greatest accomplishments. Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is a legendary creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. Stories of a large, hairy, ape-like being have captivated the public imagination for decades. Despite numerous sightings and a dedicated community of believers, the scientific community remains skeptical due to the lack of concrete evidence. This article critically examines the Bigfoot phenomenon, highlighting historical hoaxes and the prevalence of fake evidence. Historical hoaxes and fake bodies. Throughout history, there have been numerous hoaxes related to Bigfoot, many of which involve supposed Bigfoot bodies. These hoaxes have been instrumental in shaping public perception and fueling belief in the creature's existence. One of the most famous examples is the Minnesota Iceman. In the late 1960s, a man named Frank Hansen exhibited what he claimed to be a frozen Bigfoot-like creature encased in ice. The exhibit toured carnivals and fairs, drawing significant attention. However, upon closer examination by experts, the Minnesota Iceman was revealed to be a latex model filled with animal parts. Despite Hansen's claims of authenticity, the body was nothing more than a cleverly constructed hoax. Another notable example is the 2008 Georgia Bigfoot hoax. Two men, Rick Dyer and Matthew Whitten, claimed to have found the body of a Bigfoot in the forests of Georgia. They held a press conference, presenting photos and a detailed story. However, it was soon discovered that the body was a rubber gorilla suit filled with animal entrails and other materials. The hoax was quickly debunked, and Dyer later admitted to fabricating the entire story for financial gain. These hoaxes are just a few examples of the many attempts to deceive the public and capitalize on the fascination with Bigfoot. They demonstrate a pattern of creating elaborate fabrications to support the existence of the creature, often for personal or financial benefit. The lack of credible evidence. Despite numerous claims and alleged sightings, credible evidence supporting the existence of Bigfoot is conspicuously absent. The scientific community relies on verifiable data and repeatable observations to substantiate claims, and Bigfoot lacks both. Photographic and video evidence. Many photographs and videos purport to show Bigfoot, but these are often blurry, inconclusive, or easily explainable as misidentifications or deliberate fabrications. The famous 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, while one of the most well-known pieces of Bigfoot footage, has been the subject of intense debate and skepticism. Critics argue that the film likely depicts a person in a costume. Physical evidence. Claims of Bigfoot tracks and hair samples have been investigated, but results are consistently inconclusive. Footprints often lack the anatomical details that would be expected from a real creature, and hair samples typically turn out to be from known animals or synthetic fibers. Lack of biological evidence. No bones, teeth, or other biological remains have ever been found to support the existence of Bigfoot. Given the extensive searches and the proliferation of modern technology, the absence of such evidence strongly suggests that the creature does not exist. The proliferation of fake evidence. The allure of Bigfoot has led to a proliferation of fake evidence. From fabricated bodies and doctored photographs to planted footprints and staged videos, the amount of false evidence far exceeds anything credible. This phenomenon is not unique to Bigfoot. It is common in many areas of paranormal and cryptozoological claims. The motivations behind these fabrications vary. Some individuals seek financial gain, as seen in the Minnesota Iceman and Georgia Bigfoot hoaxes. Others may be motivated by a desire for fame or the thrill of perpetuating a mystery. Regardless of the reasons, the impact is the same. It undermines genuine scientific inquiry and perpetuates myths without substantiation. Conclusion. Bigfoot remains one of the most enduring legends in American folklore, but the lack of credible evidence and the prevalence of hoaxes significantly undermine its plausibility. Historical examples like the Minnesota Iceman and the Georgia Bigfoot hoax illustrate the lengths to which some will go to fabricate evidence. Despite the fervent belief of some enthusiasts, the scientific community requires more than anecdotes and dubious claims to validate such an extraordinary creature's existence. In the end, while Bigfoot makes for fascinating stories and intriguing folklore, critical thinking and scientific rigor reveal that it is more myth than reality. The multitude of fake evidence and the absence of genuine proof suggest that Bigfoot, much like other cryptids, is a creation of human imagination rather than a biological entity. The ancient alien theory, popularized in the latter half of the 20th century, suggests that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in ancient times, influencing human civilizations. This idea has captured the imagination of many, leading to numerous books, television shows, and documentaries. However, a critical examination reveals that the foundation of this theory is built on misinterpretations, speculation, and pseudoscience. Key figures like Zechariah Sitchin and Erich von Daniken have played significant roles in promoting these ideas, often without credible evidence. Zechariah Sitchin: Misinterpretations and Misleading Theories. Zechariah Sitchin, one of the foremost proponents of the ancient alien theory, claimed that Sumerian tablets detailed the arrival of extraterrestrial beings called the Anunnaki. According to Sitchin, these beings came to Earth to mine gold and created humans as a slave race. His theories, outlined in books like The 12th Planet, rely heavily on his interpretations of ancient texts. However, Sitchin was not formally trained in ancient languages or archaeology. His translations of Sumerian cuneiform tablets have been widely criticized by experts in the field. Scholars argue that Sitchin's readings are inaccurate and that he often inserted his own ideas into the texts, leading to gross misrepresentations. Sitchin's lack of academic credentials and methodological rigor means that his conclusions are not supported by genuine linguistic or historical evidence. Erich von Daniken: Speculation and Pseudoscience. Erich von Daniken's 1968 book, Chariots of the Gods, brought the ancient alien theory into mainstream consciousness. He posited that many ancient structures, such as the pyramids of Egypt and the Nazca lines in Peru, were the work of extraterrestrial visitors. Von Daniken argued that ancient myths and religious texts contained references to these alien encounters. However, von Daniken's work is largely speculative and lacks empirical support. He often cherry-picks evidence and presents it out of context to fit his narrative. For example, he interpreted depictions of ancient deities and mythological creatures as literal representations of space travelers, ignoring more plausible archaeological and historical explanations. Additionally, von Daniken has a history of criminal behavior, having been convicted of financial fraud before publishing his book. This raises further questions about his credibility and motivations. The perpetuation of falsehoods and pseudoscience. The ancient alien theory is rife with falsehoods and pseudoscientific claims. Proponents often present dubious interpretations of archaeological findings and rely on the general public's lack of specialized knowledge to spread their ideas. Key examples include misinterpretation of artifacts. Ancient alien theorists often claim that certain artifacts, such as the Piri Reis map or the Antikythera mechanism, are evidence of advanced extraterrestrial technology. However, scholars have provided historical contexts for these artifacts, showing that they were products of human ingenuity and technological development. Exaggerated technological claims. The theory often underestimates the capabilities of ancient civilizations, suggesting that structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza could not have been built without alien assistance. Archaeologists and engineers, however, have demonstrated plausible methods by which these monuments could have been constructed using the tools and knowledge available at the time. Fabricated evidence. In some cases, evidence presented by ancient alien proponents has been shown to be fabricated or misrepresented. For example, photographs of supposed alien artifacts or structures are often debunked by experts who identify them as natural formations or misidentified cultural artifacts. The importance of scientific rigor and skepticism. The allure of the ancient alien theory lies in its ability to provide sensational explanations for historical mysteries. However, it is essential to approach such claims with scientific rigor and skepticism. Theories must be grounded in verifiable evidence and withstand critical scrutiny. Archaeology and history are fields that rely on systematic analysis and peer review. Theories are continually tested and revised based on new evidence and better methodologies. In contrast, ancient alien theories often resist such scrutiny, relying instead on speculative interpretations and ignoring contrary evidence. Conclusion. The ancient alien theory, as popularized by figures like Zechariah Sitchin and Erich von Daniken, is built on a foundation of misinterpretations, speculation, and pseudoscience. Sitchin's lack of credentials and inaccurate translations, combined with von Daniken's speculative narratives and dubious credibility, undermine the legitimacy of their claims. The perpetuation of these myths not only distorts our understanding of history, but also disrespects the achievements of ancient civilizations. By prioritizing scientific inquiry and critical thinking, we can better appreciate the ingenuity and capabilities of our ancestors. The true story of human history is rich and complex, and it deserves to be understood through rigorous scholarship rather than sensationalist myths. Skinwalker Ranch, a 512-acre property in northeastern Utah, has become a focal point for tales of the paranormal. From UFO sightings to ghostly apparitions and mysterious cattle mutilations, the ranch is a veritable hotspot for sensational stories. Yet, beneath the surface of these claims lies a troubling absence of credible evidence. This video critically examines the phenomena reported at Skinwalker Ranch, questioning the motivations behind these stories and highlighting the lack of scientific validation. The origins of the legend. The legend of Skinwalker Ranch began in the mid-1990s when the Sherman family, who had recently purchased the property, reported a series of bizarre and frightening occurrences. These included strange lights in the sky, large unidentified creatures, and unexplained animal mutilations. The stories caught the attention of Robert Bigelow, a wealthy entrepreneur with a keen interest in the paranormal. Bigelow purchased the ranch in 1996 and funded extensive investigations through his National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDSCI. Despite years of investigation and considerable resources, Bob Bigelow and his team produced no conclusive evidence to support the extraordinary claims. Reports from the Bob Bigelow's team often relied on anecdotal accounts and subjective interpretations, lacking the rigorous standards required for scientific proof. This pattern of unverified claims has continued under subsequent ownership, including the current owner, Brandon Fugel, who has further commercialized the ranch's mystique through television series and media appearances. The problem with anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence, which is heavily relied upon in the case of Skinwalker Ranch, is inherently unreliable. Human perception is fallible and can be influenced by expectations, fear, and suggestion. Many of the phenomena reported at the ranch can be explained by natural or psychological factors. For instance, strange lights in the sky can often be attributed to aircraft, satellites, or atmospheric conditions. Unusual animal deaths might result from predation or disease, rather than extraterrestrial or supernatural forces. Moreover, the absence of physical evidence is a significant concern. Despite numerous claims of UFO sightings and encounters with otherworldly beings, there are no credible photographs, videos, or forensic evidence to substantiate these reports. The scientific method demands reproducibility and verifiable data, criteria that the Skinwalker Ranch narratives consistently fail to meet. Financial incentives and media sensationalism. The commercial aspect of Skinwalker Ranch cannot be overlooked. The property has been the subject of books, documentaries, and television series, all of which generate substantial revenue. The History Channel's The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch is a notable example, capitalizing on public fascination with the paranormal to attract viewers and advertisers. Such media ventures have a vested interest in perpetuating and exaggerating the mystery to maintain audience engagement and profitability. This profit-driven motive raises questions about the credibility of the claims. When financial incentives are tied to sensationalism, there is a strong temptation to embellish or fabricate stories. This creates a feedback loop where increasingly outlandish tales are told to sustain interest, further distancing the narrative from reality. The importance of critical thinking. In the face of such claims, critical thinking is essential. Skepticism is not about dismissing possibilities outright but about demanding evidence that meets the standards of scientific inquiry. It is important to recognize the difference between entertaining stories and substantiated facts. While the tales of Skinwalker Ranch may provide thrilling content for television and literature, they should not be mistaken for empirical truth. The scientific community remains open to investigating the unknown, but extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Until such evidence is presented, the stories surrounding Skinwalker Ranch should be regarded with a healthy dose of skepticism. It is crucial to prioritize critical thinking and empirical evidence over sensationalism and commercial interests. Conclusion. Skinwalker Ranch is a compelling case study in how folklore, profit motives, and human psychology can intertwine to create and sustain myths. Despite decades of anecdotes and media attention, there is a conspicuous lack of verifiable evidence to support the extraordinary claims made about the ranch. The allure of the paranormal will always attract interest, but it is our responsibility to distinguish between fiction and fact, ensuring that curiosity does not override the pursuit of truth. In the end, Skinwalker Ranch serves as a reminder of the importance of skepticism and the need for rigorous scientific investigation in the face of sensational claims. Until concrete evidence is produced, the stories of Skinwalker Ranch should be enjoyed as modern folklore rather than accepted as reality. For decades, the tale of the Loch Ness Monster has captivated the imagination of many, drawing tourists to the Scottish Highlands in search of Nessie. But is there any concrete evidence supporting the existence of this mysterious beast? Or is Nessie simply a product of folklore, misidentification, and clever marketing? Historical context and folklore. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster dates back to 565 AD, when Saint Columba allegedly encountered a water beast in the River Ness. This account, however, is steeped in mystical and religious undertones, raising questions about its reliability. Modern sightings and evidence. Interest in Nessie surged in the 1930s with the infamous surgeon's photograph of 1934, later exposed as a hoax. Despite this, the image cemented Nessie's place in popular culture. Subsequent sightings have been controversial, with many eyewitness accounts describing vague shapes and movements in the water, often inconsistent and unverifiable. Many purported pieces of photographic and video evidence have been debunked as hoaxes or misidentified objects. Scientific investigations. Numerous scientific expeditions have sought to uncover the truth about Nessie, using advanced sonar and underwater photography. The 2003 BBC expedition, which used 600 sonar beams and satellite navigation to scan the loch, found no trace of the monster. A 2019 DNA survey of Loch Ness catalogued its biodiversity, but found no evidence of a large, unknown aquatic creature. Significant amounts of eel DNA led to speculation that large eels could explain some sightings. Psychological and sociological factors. The Loch Ness Monster phenomenon can also be examined through psychology and sociology. The human tendency to recognize patterns and familiar shapes, known as pareidolia, can explain why people believe they see a monster. Additionally, the legend is integral to local culture and economy, attracting tourists and providing an economic boost, which may unintentionally perpetuate the myth. Conclusion. While the idea of the Loch Ness Monster is enchanting, critical examination of evidence suggests that Nessie is more myth than reality. Historical accounts are exaggerated or misinterpreted, modern sightings lack verifiable evidence, and scientific investigations have repeatedly found no proof of the creature's existence. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster thrives not because of concrete evidence, but because of our fascination with the unknown and the allure of mystery. As long as there are stories to tell, Nessie will continue to live on in our collective consciousness, if not in the depths of Loch Ness. The Chupacabra, a skeptical look at the legend and its conspiracy theories. Introduction. The Chupacabra, a creature rumored to inhabit parts of the Americas, has become one of the most enduring legends in modern folklore. Described as a vampiric beast that preys on livestock, the Chupacabra has captured the imaginations of many, spawning a myriad of conspiracy theories. However, a closer examination reveals that the legend is more fiction than fact, rooted in cultural myths and misidentified animals. Historical background. The Chupacabra myth first emerged in Puerto Rico in the mid-1990s. The name, Chupacabra, translates to goatsucker, reflecting its reputation for attacking and draining the blood of goats and other livestock. The first reported sighting in 1995 described a creature with a reptilian body, spines along its back, and a predatory nature. This initial account rapidly gained media attention, and similar reports soon surfaced across Latin America and the southern United States. Skeptical analysis of the Chupacabra myth. Cultural and psychological factors. The Chupacabra legend can be understood through the lens of cultural and psychological phenomena. In regions where livestock is vital to livelihood, unexplained animal deaths can cause significant distress. The Chupacabra serves as a convenient scapegoat for these anxieties. Furthermore, mass media and the power of suggestion play critical roles in shaping and spreading such myths. Misidentification of animals. Many supposed Chupacabra sightings can be attributed to misidentified animals suffering from disease or malnutrition. For instance, numerous reports have described creatures that resemble dogs or coyotes with severe mange, a skin disease that causes hair loss and a ghastly appearance. In such cases, the frightening appearance of these animals fuels the Chupacabra narrative. Lack of scientific evidence. Despite numerous claims, there is no scientific evidence supporting the existence of the Chupacabra. No remains or biological samples have been conclusively identified as belonging to an unknown species. In contrast, investigations often reveal that the alleged Chupacabras are known animals with identifiable health issues. Conspiracy theories and their debunking. The Chupacabra legend is fertile ground for conspiracy theories, which often suggest sinister motives behind the creature's existence or cover-up. Government experiments. One popular theory posits that the Chupacabra is the result of secret government experiments gone awry. Proponents argue that these creatures are genetic hybrids or the outcome of bioweapons research. However, these claims lack credible evidence and are often based on speculation rather than documented proof. Alien origins. Another theory suggests that the Chupacabra is an extraterrestrial being, either abandoned on Earth or deliberately released. This narrative is part of a broader genre of alien conspiracy theories, which often lack tangible evidence and rely heavily on anecdotal accounts. Suppressed discoveries. Some believe that discoveries related to the Chupacabra are being deliberately suppressed by authorities to prevent public panic or to maintain control over knowledge. This theory typically appeals to those who distrust official explanations and seek hidden truths. Conclusion. The legend of the Chupacabra, while fascinating, is best understood as a cultural and psychological phenomenon rather than a cryptozoological reality. Skeptical analysis reveals that the creature's existence is supported by misidentifications and the power of suggestion rather than concrete evidence. Conspiracy theories surrounding the Chupacabra, like many such narratives, thrive on speculation and the lack of critical scrutiny. As with any myth, a healthy dose of skepticism and a reliance on scientific investigation are essential in separating fact from fiction. cattle mutilations have been a source of intrigue and speculation for decades. Gruesome reports of livestock found dead under mysterious circumstances, with precise incisions and organs removed, have fueled theories ranging from extraterrestrial involvement to secret government experiments. Prominent figures like Linda Moulton Howe have capitalized on these stories, promoting sensationalist narratives with little to no empirical evidence. This article critically examines the cattle mutilation phenomenon, highlighting the lack of substantiation and the profit-driven motives behind the perpetuation of these myths. The origins of cattle mutilation stories. The modern phenomenon of cattle mutilations began in the late 1960s in the United States, particularly in the Midwest and Southwest. Ranchers reported finding their cattle dead with strange wounds that appeared to be made with surgical precision. Often, these animals were found with bloodless bodies, missing eyes, tongues, and reproductive organs. Such reports naturally led to public alarm and the search for explanations. Local authorities, veterinarians, and federal agencies like the FBI have investigated these cases extensively. The findings often pointed to natural causes: predation, scavenging by wildlife, or decomposition processes. Scavengers are known to target soft tissues and orifices, creating the appearance of precise incisions. Furthermore, the absence of blood can be attributed to natural post-mortem processes where blood settles due to gravity and coagulates. Linda Moulton Howe and the promotion of myths. Linda Moulton Howe, a journalist and documentary filmmaker, has been one of the most vocal proponents of the extraterrestrial hypothesis for cattle mutilations. Her 1980 documentary, A Strange Harvest, and subsequent books have played a significant role in popularizing the idea that these incidents are the result of alien experimentation. However, Howe's work has faced substantial criticism for its lack of scientific rigor. Many of the cases she presents are based on anecdotal evidence and sensationalist claims rather than empirical data. Moreover, Howe and other proponents have been caught promoting dubious or outright fake stories. For instance, several supposed eyewitness accounts and insider testimonies in her reports have been debunked or exposed as fabrications. Profit-driven sensationalism. The financial incentives behind perpetuating the cattle mutilation myth are significant. Books, documentaries, conferences, and television appearances generate substantial revenue for those promoting these stories. The allure of the paranormal and the mysterious attracts audiences, ensuring a steady stream of profit for those willing to exploit these interests. The case of Linda Moulton Howe is illustrative of this dynamic. Her works have garnered a cult following and have been financially successful, despite the lack of concrete evidence. This raises important questions about the motivations behind such narratives. When financial gain is tied to sensationalism, there is a strong incentive to embellish or fabricate stories, further distorting the truth. The importance of scientific inquiry. Scientific investigations into cattle mutilations have consistently pointed to mundane explanations. Forensic analyses by veterinarians and wildlife experts reveal that the supposed surgical incisions are often the result of natural decomposition and scavenging. The lack of blood is a common phenomenon in dead animals as bodily fluids settle and coagulate post-mortem. The FBI's investigation in the late 1970s concluded that most mutilations were attributable to natural causes and human activity, such as pranks or malicious intent by individuals. Despite these findings, sensationalist accounts continue to overshadow scientific explanations, largely due to the media and individuals like Howe who have a vested interest in maintaining the mystery. Conclusion. The mystery of cattle mutilations persists not because of compelling evidence, but due to the power of sensationalist storytelling and financial incentives. Figures like Linda Moulton Howe have built careers on promoting unsubstantiated claims, often at the expense of scientific truth. It is crucial to approach such phenomena with a skeptical and critical mindset, recognizing the difference between entertainment and empirical evidence. As long as there is profit to be made from sensationalist stories, myths like cattle mutilations will endure. However, by prioritizing scientific inquiry and critical thinking, we can demystify these phenomena and understand them for what they truly are: natural events misinterpreted and exaggerated for profit. The Dark Legacy of Sherry Shriner: Reptilian Aliens and Deadly Delusions. Sherry Shriner, a name that evokes a bizarre mix of sci-fi horror and fringe religion, is infamous for her outlandish conspiracy theories. Through a potent combination of charisma and digital outreach, she managed to cultivate a small but fervent following, promoting ideas so outlandish that they would be laughable if they weren't also so dangerous. Her theories not only distorted reality but led to real-world tragedies, including a murder that underscored the lethal potential of her delusional narrative. The Bizarre World of Sherry Shriner. Shriner's conspiracy theories covered a wide spectrum of the absurd, but they consistently revolved around a central, chilling theme: the world is controlled by reptilian aliens. According to Shriner, these shape-shifting reptilians occupy positions of power, from political leaders to celebrities, orchestrating a global conspiracy to enslave humanity. She claimed these reptilians were satanic beings, intertwining her conspiracies with apocalyptic Christian prophecy. Among her many assertions, Shriner posited that major events, such as the September 11 attacks and various natural disasters, were orchestrated by these malevolent forces to further their nefarious agenda. She also perpetuated the belief that the government was complicit, acting as a puppet regime for these extraterrestrial overlords. The reptilian obsession. The concept of reptilian aliens isn't new. It was popularized by British conspiracy theorist David Icke. However, Shriner took it to new extremes. She asserted that these entities could assume human form, infiltrating society at the highest levels. In her view, anyone could be a reptilian: your neighbor, your boss, or even your spouse. This pervasive paranoia fostered an environment where trust was eroded, and fear became the primary lens through which her followers viewed the world. Shriner's claims included detailed descriptions of how to identify these reptilians, alleging that they had telltale signs such as unusual eye movements or strange behavior. She also preached that these beings had a distinct, often malevolent energy that true believers could sense. Such assertions only deepened the divide between her followers and the rest of society, isolating them in a bubble of suspicion and hostility. The dangers of Shriner's doctrine. The impact of Shriner's conspiracy theories transcended mere delusion. They cultivated a mindset ripe for tragedy. The most glaring example of this is the murder of Stephen Minio by Barbara Rogers, both members of Shriner's online cult. In July 2017, Minio was shot in the head by Rogers at his request, driven by the belief that he was under attack by malevolent forces as per Shriner's teachings. Rogers later claimed that Minio had become convinced that Shriner had turned against him, labeling him as a reptilian. This tragic event starkly illustrates the psychological manipulation inherent in Shriner's teachings. Her followers, inundated with fear and conspiracy, reached a point where violent actions seemed justified as self-defense against imaginary threats. This highlights a broader issue with conspiracy theorists who peddle fear. They can incite real-world violence and paranoia, leading to devastating consequences. The verdict on Sherry Shriner's legacy. Shriner's legacy is a grim testament to the dangers of unchecked conspiracy theories. Her outlandish claims about reptilian aliens and global conspiracies not only distorted reality for her followers but created an environment where mistrust and fear could thrive. The death of Stephen Minio is a direct consequence of this toxic ideology, illustrating how deeply these delusions can infiltrate the minds of believers. Shriner's influence underscores the importance of critical thinking and skepticism in the face of sensationalist claims. While her theories might seem absurd to the majority, they highlight a worrying trend in the digital age: the ease with which misinformation can spread and the profound impact it can have on vulnerable individuals. In a world where such figures can amass followings online, It is imperative to promote media literacy and mental health awareness to prevent similar tragedies in the future. In conclusion, Sherry Schreiner's bizarre and dangerous theories serve as a stark reminder of the perils of conspiracy thinking. The murder among her cult members is a sobering example of how far removed from reality such beliefs can take people. It is a call to remain vigilant against the seductive lure of conspiracy theories and to strive for a more informed and rational discourse in society. The Pseudoscience of Sherry Schreiner, Orgone Devices and Reptilian Alien Protection. In the bizarre world of Sherry Schreiner, where reptilian aliens and government conspiracies intermingle with apocalyptic prophecy, one of the most peculiar and scientifically dubious aspects of her teachings involves the use of orgone devices. These devices, Schreiner claimed, were the key to protecting oneself from the malevolent forces she believed were controlling the world. However, a critical examination reveals that these claims are not only baseless but also dangerously misleading. The origins and claims of orgone energy. The concept of orgone energy was first introduced by Wilhelm Reich, a controversial psychoanalyst in the mid-20th century. Reich posited that orgone was a vital, cosmic energy present in all living things, and he created devices called orgone accumulators to harness this energy for health benefits. Though Reich's work was largely discredited and dismissed as pseudoscience, it found new life in the hands of modern-day conspiracy theorists like Sherry Schreiner. Schreiner adapted Reich's ideas, claiming that orgone energy could not only promote health but also provide protection against the dark forces she believed were at work in the world. According to Schreiner, the true threat to humanity came from reptilian aliens, shape-shifting extraterrestrial beings allegedly controlling global institutions and plotting to enslave humanity. In her view, orgone devices were essential tools for warding off these sinister entities. Orgone devices as alien protection. Schreiner's orgone devices were often simple constructions made from materials like resin, metal shavings, and quartz crystals. She claimed that these devices emitted positive orgone energy, which could neutralize the negative energy of reptilian aliens and other demonic forces. In her numerous online broadcasts and writings, Schreiner urged her followers to place these devices around their homes, carry them on their persons, and distribute them in public spaces to create protective barriers. Her assertions were bolstered by anecdotal evidence and personal testimonies from her followers, who reported feeling safer and more protected after using these devices. Schreiner's charismatic delivery and the tight-knit nature of her online community created an echo chamber where skepticism was scarce, and belief in the power of orgone was widespread. The pseudoscience behind orgone devices. Despite the fervent beliefs of Schreiner and her followers, there is no scientific basis for the effectiveness of orgone devices. The concept of orgone energy itself is not recognized by any legitimate scientific body, and Reich's original theories were dismissed as pseudoscience. Subsequent studies and reviews have consistently found no evidence supporting the existence of orgone energy or the efficacy of orgone accumulators. Schreiner's adaptation of these ideas into a tool for alien protection further stretches credulity. The notion that resin and metal trinkets can protect against shape-shifting extraterrestrial beings is patently absurd. These claims exploit the fears and anxieties of individuals who are already predisposed to believe in conspiracy theories, offering a false sense of security and diverting attention from real, tangible threats. The dangerous consequences. The promotion of orgone devices by Sherry Schreiner is not just harmless pseudoscience, it has tangible negative consequences. By convincing her followers that they are under constant threat from reptilian aliens and that simple devices can provide protection, she fostered a paranoid and delusional worldview. This mindset not only isolated her followers from reality but also made them susceptible to further manipulation and exploitation. Moreover, Schreiner's teachings diverted attention from legitimate methods of addressing personal and societal issues. Instead of seeking real solutions or professional help, her followers invested time, money, and belief in ineffective and scientifically baseless devices. This misdirection can prevent individuals from receiving proper medical care, mental health support, or engaging in productive societal participation. Conclusion: Sherry Schreiner's claims about orgone devices are a clear example of the dangerous intersection of pseudoscience and conspiracy theory. Her promotion of these devices as protection against reptilian aliens is a testament to the lengths to which charismatic leaders can go to exploit fear and manipulate vulnerable individuals. It serves as a stark reminder of the importance of critical thinking and skepticism in the face of extraordinary claims. In an age where misinformation can spread rapidly online, the case of Sherry Schreiner highlights the need for increased media literacy and scientific awareness. By fostering a culture that values evidence-based thinking and critical inquiry, society can better protect itself against the harmful influence of pseudoscience and conspiracy theories. The tragic consequence of belief, Barbara Rogers, Stephen Minio, and the fatal influence of Sherry Schreiner's cult. In the shadowy world of conspiracy theories, where reality and delusion blur, the case of Barbara Rogers and Stephen Minio stands as a stark and tragic testament to the deadly power of such beliefs. This chilling incident, rooted in the bizarre doctrines of Sherry Schreiner's online cult, underscores the profound dangers posed by unfounded conspiracy theories and their potential to incite real-world violence. The murder and its context. On July 15, 2017, in Coolbaugh Township, Pennsylvania, a harrowing event unfolded. Barbara Rogers shot and killed her boyfriend, Stephen Minio, at his own behest. This was no ordinary crime of passion or spur-of-the-moment violence. It was a murder deeply entangled with the dangerous conspiracy theories propagated by Sherry Schreiner, a self-proclaimed prophetess who preached about reptilian aliens and government conspiracies. Rogers and Minio were both devoted followers of Schreiner's cult, an online community steeped in paranoia and esoteric beliefs. Schreiner's teachings convinced her followers that the world was controlled by shape-shifting reptilian aliens who were intent on enslaving humanity. These extraterrestrial overlords, according to Schreiner, had infiltrated the highest levels of government and society, posing an imminent threat to human freedom and survival. The toxic influence of Sherry Schreiner. Schreiner's influence on Rogers and Minio was profound. Her teachings fostered a deep-seated fear and mistrust of the world, creating a psychological environment where extreme actions seemed justifiable. For years, Schreiner had built a narrative that cast herself as the ultimate arbiter of truth, portraying dissenters and critics as part of the reptilian conspiracy. This echoed chamber left her followers isolated from reality, trapped in a cycle of paranoia and delusion. The couple's descent into this conspiratorial abyss reached its nadir when Schreiner allegedly turned on Minio, accusing him of being compromised by reptilian forces. According to Rogers, Minio became convinced that Schreiner had branded him a reptilian, a death sentence in their shared belief system. This fear, stoked by Schreiner's manipulative rhetoric, led Minio to a state of desperation. In a final, tragic culmination of his indoctrination, Minio allegedly asked Rogers to kill him to escape the perceived threat. The dangers of conspiracy theories. The murder of Stephen Minio by Barbara Rogers is a grim reminder of the destructive potential of conspiracy theories. While many may view such beliefs as harmless eccentricities, the reality is that they can have devastating consequences. Schreiner's cult exemplifies how conspiracy theories can evolve from fringe ideas into dangerous dogmas that distort reality and incite violence. Schreiner's teachings not only alienated her followers from society, but also fostered an environment where fear and mistrust thrived. The belief in a hidden enemy lurking within every facet of life led to a pervasive sense of danger and urgency. For followers like Rogers and Mineo, this constant state of fear became unbearable, pushing them towards extreme actions. Moreover, the insular nature of Schreiner's online community amplified these dangers. Isolated from outside perspectives and critical voices, her followers became increasingly radicalized. This echo chamber effect, common in many online conspiracy communities, exacerbates the detachment from reality and reinforces dangerous beliefs. The aftermath and lessons. The aftermath of Stephen Mineo's murder was marked by shock and disbelief, as the broader public grappled with the bizarre and tragic nature of the crime. Barbara Rogers was charged with third-degree murder and convicted, a legal conclusion that highlighted the severe consequences of her actions. However, the deeper issue remains: the unchecked spread of harmful conspiracy theories and their potential to inflict real harm. Sherry Schreiner's cult is a potent example of how charismatic leaders can exploit fear and paranoia to manipulate and control vulnerable individuals. It underscores the need for vigilance in combating misinformation and promoting critical thinking. In a digital age where such beliefs can spread rapidly and widely, fostering media literacy and mental health awareness is more crucial than ever. In conclusion, the tragic case of Barbara Rogers and Stephen Mineo is a sobering illustration of the lethal power of conspiracy theories. Sherry Schreiner's bizarre doctrines not only warped their perception of reality, but also drove them to a devastating act of violence. This incident serves as a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked conspiracy thinking and the urgent need for greater awareness and intervention to prevent similar tragedies in the future.